This is Hauling Success, a podcast that focuses on operational excellence and logistics, diving into the real-world strategies, tools, and insights that help transportation and trucking companies run smarter, grow stronger, and scale with confidence. Welcome to Hauling Success. My name is Pam Polyak, and I am your host for today. We are sponsored by Amos TMS. Wonderful program, wonderful system. And today we get to talk about sales because of them. So I'm going to give you as many tips and tricks that I have learned over the last couple decades. Yes, it makes me feel very old, but we are going to dive into some wonderful advice that I was given, some things that have worked for me, and hopefully some things that will work for you. So being a small fleet operation, you're right. When people say, how do I get a contract? How do I get in front of customers? What do I do? How do I get offload boards, right? For better pricing, more consistency, any of those things that you're looking for. So we're going to start at some basics and some things that I have done and I have learned throughout my history, and hopefully it'll help you. First things first, my biggest suggestion, go to YouTube and type in Simon Sinek TED Talk, Start with Why. So again, Simon Sinek, SIMONSINEK, TED Talk, Start with Why. This TED Talk truly changed my approach to things, my understanding of how sales work in general. I don't have any sales background. I don't have a degree in sales. I've never done it and personally hate it, especially the cold calling. The cold calling is not fun. So you're not going to hear me talk about that. The cold calling is awkward. Yes, sometimes it's needed, but it is just not my style, not my approach. So there'll be little tips and tricks around that, but simply cold calling is still alive and well. And there will be many pros who can discuss that with you, and maybe we'll have them on the show. But for right now, we're just going to go with some quick basics that you can actually start implementing today. So again, start with Simon Sinek TED Talk, start with why. What he discusses in that video is the basic concept that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. If you think about it, you are one in a million truck drivers. You are one in a million trucking companies. Customers have options to pick from 100% of the time. So what you need to do as a business owner now is market yourself as to your why. Why are you in business? Are you in business because of your family? Are you in business because you have a passion for it? Are there certain parts that you have a passion directly for, whether it's safety, equipment, even vintage trucks? Let's say your why is because you just love the vintage truck. Explaining people and getting your message out there about why you're in business, what your goals are. Obviously, one of the biggest whys are simply like putting food on the table for your family and for your employees and that kind of stuff. So letting people understand your why are you doing what you're doing, helps differentiate you from competitors. Oftentimes they're a little bit more personal, and some people are like, oh, I don't want people in my personal business. Yeah, but they need to buy into you, right? You're a small company, and if you're not doing anything directly different than the next person, meaning yes, you're safe. Yes, you can drive whatever type of equipment you've got going on, whether it's flatbed, dry van, box truck, doesn't matter. You want to differentiate yourself because you're no different. You are doing nothing else different than somebody else that is doing the same thing. I mean, how else can I say it? There's millions of trucks out there. There's bound to be somebody in that network who's doing exactly the same thing and probably with the same or even better safety scores. So you have to tell those customers why you're doing what you're doing. Now, here's another kind of tips and tricks to it. With every interaction is a sales opportunity. That includes those absolutely annoying brokers and those phone calls that you don't want, and those tracking and tracings, and those conversations where you call on a load and you say, hey, is this load available? And the broker says, nope, it's already covered. Don't let the conversation end there. Follow up with, well, how often do you get this lane? I'm in this area frequently. Is this something that you could call on me for next time? What's the going rate for this? Continue that conversation and understand the frequency. A lot of times when brokers post things, they usually have it in their back pocket as a continuous lane for them, at least on some level, not necessarily daily, but usually weekly or monthly. They're contracted to it for some reason. So keep that interaction as a sales opportunity for you. That means save their contact information, save their emails, save their phone numbers. There's a system out there called a CRM, which is basically a customer relationship management system. It doesn't have to be as fancy as a full CRM. Yes, you can go out and get the apps and you can pay for the subscriptions, but you certainly don't need to. Simply pressing save in your email address, what Gmail, Outlook, whatever it is, simply pressing save and keeping that information, and then go ahead and put some notes. Yes, they have a lane that you want. They do a lane to St. Louis and you're in St. Louis all the time, or they're the broker that hauls the backhauls out of St. Louis, or they're the ones that do this customer. Whatever the case is, keep those notes for you and understand that those interactions are now your sales opportunities. When you're now in St. Louis next time, you call on the people that you have St. Louis notes on, right? Because at one point they did have the freight, whether they still have it or have it consistently or have it that day that you need it. Yeah, you're going to have a hit and a miss there, but you still want that sales and that interaction and that opportunity to then lead to more. And when it comes to keeping those email addresses, the other thing that I strongly encourage people to do is utilize your email. I understand if you are the owner and you're driving the truck and you're managing phone calls and you're doing this and that, it's not easy to do. But this is a simple tips and tricks to make you do it. In Outlook and Gmail, I'm sure you can create these groups that will allow you to send emails out to different brokers. Meaning, if you are in, again, we'll just use St. Louis. I don't know why I'm picking that, but I am. If you're in St. Louis and you're looking for a backhaul and you don't have anything, if you send out one email and it hits 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 different brokers that says, hey, I've got a truck in St. Louis. It'll be empty at 2 p.m. Do you have anything outbound? Even if the people on the other end don't have something that fits that lane specifically, your email and your company information just shot to the top of their email, which means now whether they fully look at the email, fully engage and or respond, your company name is still at the forefront of their mind in that moment. Does that make sense? Do you see where I'm going with this? Now, the next time they have that load, they're going to call you again and say, hey, I remember so-and-so was in St. Louis. They might be a great fit for this. Let me reach out to them. Do you see where I'm going with this? And if you multiply that by every day you're sending an email saying, hey, I'm looking for load going X to Y, whatever the case is, you're telling people in that moment where your truck is located, where you guys are frequently at, and then at the same time, keeping your message and your company name at the forefront of their information. So with that, when it comes to emails, take the time to create the signature on your emails. I know that for a lot of us corporate people, this is small fry information. It's very standard, but for a lot of you people who are still running on Gmail accounts, by the way, please stop doing that. Spend the money. Get a at blanktrucking.com email address. It's one more step towards professionalism. I swear those Gmail accounts are definitely getting scrutinized for fraud right now. So get a different email, but work on your signatures. Your signature should include your name, who you are, contact information. And then to go one step further, killing two birds with one stone, put your MC number and your DOT number on it. That eliminates that second question. What's your number? What's your number? I need your MC number. I need your DOT number. It eliminates that extra ask that we all know that they're going to ask. So put that at the bottom of your signature. Contact information, email address, name, who you are, and then MC DOT number. Those emails then become your sales approach. That doesn't mean you need to bombard them every day, but it's as simple as saying, hey, I've got a truck on Thursday looking to go from St. Louis to Chicago. I've got a truck on Tuesday night that'll be empty in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin at 2 a.m. Whatever the case is, you're telling those people where it, and then at the same time, those emails and that email address and your company name is now at the forefront of their information. It's an easy way to have those brokers remember you and have you get you a better chance for some consistent freight and them calling you on the lanes that you actually want. How many of us out there get phone calls from these brokers? Oh, well, you have a lane from New York to California? No, we don't run cross country. We're Midwest. So the more you put that message out there of what you are and what you're looking for, the better off you are going to be and the more result focused it will appear, right? You will be able to book loads faster and quicker when you're putting out the message as to where your trucks are going to be, and the brokers understand where your trucks typically are. Even if it's not consistent, even if you're all over the place, even, you can be United States wide, it doesn't matter, but at least you're keeping then your name at the forefront of that conversation. So I hope that part makes sense. All right, moving on. The other tip, trick / shenanigans when it comes to sales. Your drivers, and if you are the driver, you need to remember this as well. As drivers, you are your biggest salespeople. You're your biggest salespeople. And I understand that there's a lot of scrutiny over the professionalism of how drivers look, the flip-flop shenanigans of what is now the norm, I feel like, unfortunately. But the idea is you are the salespeople and you are directly at the locations that you want to be at, typically speaking, right? Sometimes you end up in a location you don't actually want to be in, but regardless, you're still hauling a load that at one point in time, right then and there, you needed that freight, whether you took the load as a last resort, whether you took the load out of spite, I don't know, whether you took the load because it was good, whether you took the load because it's a location you want to frequent or you need to frequent, or it's the least amount of deadhead, whatever the reason is, you took the load. So that means your people are there. They are checking in at the front desk people. Who are supervised. And here's the thing, there's a lot of times that those front desk clerks have a lot more push than what you ever want to give it credit for, right? A lot of times, yes, they can be grouchy, they can be mean, they can have rough days, you feel disrespected, whatever it is. There can be a multitude of different things, but the reality is, if you're wearing a t-shirt with your logo on it and your company name and your personal name, I get that can be a little fishy. Drivers don't always want to do that, but even company name, company logo, you're leaving behind a pen with a company name, a business card with your email address on it and phone number. Whatever the case is, you're at a location that you want to haul for or to. Either way, those people are connected on the other end because whether they're directly related to the sales themselves or not, they may or may not have some pretty significant influence into those decision makings. So if it's as simple as the clerk at the front desk is like, yeah, I really like Polyak. I love your trucks. You guys are always so polite and so courteous, and we want you to come back. How powerful is that? Everybody keeps forgetting that you are doing sales when you enter the location far better than an owner sitting behind a desk can do. I can send emails all day long that get ignored, but when you're face to face with somewhere that you want to be at a location that makes sense with product that you've already agreed to pick up, why aren't we selling to that person? You need to walk into that building and walk into that check-in office assuming that the other person is a decision maker. I understand that they aren't always one, and more than likely they're not, but they create the influence. I can promise you that. That also includes forklift drivers. I have a huge customer right now that because the manager at the time that we delivered there needed to hop in the forklift because a driver called in sick, that interaction then turned into a sales. It happens and it's real and you can do it and your people can do it. And your expectations for your drivers is that they carry themselves in that way. Carry themselves as a salesperson. So if you've got drivers and you're looking for them to buy into this notion, right, that they're going to sell for you, you can easily equip them with different things like a bonus, a referral bonus, or percentage if you book a load, or some type of incentive of that kind. You certainly could do that. But most drivers actually want to do it and are good at doing it. There are a lot of drivers out there who can sweet talk with the best of them in terms of getting loaded and unloaded before their appointment time, or God forbid, after their appointment time. But there's a lot of people in your fleet whether even if you've got 1 or 2 trucks that can sell for you, those become your salespeople. You have to remember that that's why it is crucial and important that you equip your drivers with, and I would venture to say, good apparel. You don't have to make it a requirement to wear a uniform necessarily, because now that gets sticky, especially if they're 1099s. You can't force them to wear certain apparel, that kind of stuff. It becomes employee. But especially if they're employees, hey, I want you in a company t-shirt when you stop at a location. I don't care if you're driving down the road with something different, swap it out when you go check in the building. I want to see that you have our company shirt on, or a button down, or a vest, whatever, the high vis vest. You know, guys know what I'm talking about. Any type of anything, put that logo on it. Spend a little bit of money to get that word out there to look professional. It goes a long way when creating those systems. All right, another sales type thing. Again, I talked a little bit about the CRM, customer relations management program, but this is the idea of letting technology work for you. You want to be able to tell people, hey, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. Get LinkedIn. Even if you aren't huge into social media, get LinkedIn. That dynamic within LinkedIn will get you sales eventually. It is a platform for people to, again, say what you're doing, why you are doing it, and who you are trying to help by achieving your goal, right? If you want all the major flatbed work that you can get, right? You create your LinkedIn account. You may or may not post a few things on there every once in a while just to get some traction, but you can go in and you can connect and search by company names for the people that you want. If you want to haul for, I'm sure I shouldn't name anybody, but let's just say ABC Company, and they're a global company, but you want to haul for them directly based in Chicago, Illinois. You type in the search bar, people, ABC Company, Chicago, with location of Chicago, Illinois, and you go through and see everybody who works there. You connect with the vice president, the ops manager, the supervisor, whatever title shenanigans people want to give themselves these days. Start connecting with those people that you want to haul for. Then you turn around and you tell your story. Over time, don't bombard them with one long post and then that's it. You have to work the algorithm a little bit when it comes to social media. But tell them why you're doing what you're in business for, and then continue that conversation, but filter in a lot of the little stuff, meaning just a picture of the truck, enjoying a beautiful day. Not every post needs to be a sale because they're going to want to buy into you. Post something about a driver, post something about your family and taking some time off or work-life balance, or posting about how you turned around and helped this one customer figure out their logistics needs. There needs to just be balance on what you post a little bit. So don't hit them with just one type. You need to kind of work and flow. Yes, there are courses you can take on it. I've never done it. I just post what I want to, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But it's usually the unscripted ones that post and end up going viral a lot better than the ones that are scripted and AI generated and that kind of stuff. Yes, you can use ChatGPT, but it's the algorithm of LinkedIn is going to pick up on that eventually, and it's just going to put you to the bottom of the barrel. So make sure you're really trying to put some authentic posts in there as well. But using that LinkedIn to create also those contacts and those information out there with the people that you want to haul for. If there's direct locations, if there's people that you've worked with in the past, every broker that you deal with, add them on LinkedIn. They may or may not be active. You never know, depending on what they're doing or how they're doing it. But if you've got contact information, go to LinkedIn. It is the professional site to making sure that you connect with the people that you've done business with. So if you've hauled this load for John Doe, then add John Doe to your network. You've done business with him now. Doesn't mean you need to hound him, doesn't mean you need everything, but now they're also putting a picture and a face to the name and character and content to who you are as a company, as a business owner, and that can go a long way. And guess what? You don't need the paid version. You can do it for free. It's going to take time to build it up a little bit, but again, every booked load Every name that you have in your email should also be in your LinkedIn as connections. Because again, those are people that you've done business with or want to do business with. Same thing when you get emails across your inbox of people you don't know and they're soliciting you to do work. I'm not interested in that lane, but this is what I am interested in. This is where we do service. These are the things we do well. Let them know. A lot of times these big brokers have systems in there. They'll go through and check, nope, you're just an LTL carrier. No, you're just a box truck carrier. Oh, you're a 53-foot carrier. Nope, you just do flatbed, or you do, there's all of that within their CRM system because it's a lot more complex than anything I've ever used and anything that you probably don't need. Um, yeah, don't pay for that right now. Not at the size of the 1 to 10. There's very limited reasons as to why you would need that from that complexity. But utilizing LinkedIn, saving the email addresses in Outlook, and then telling people what you need. Those mouths don't get fed. Don't sit there in your truck, in the bed of your truck going, I wish somebody knew I was in Chicago and wanted to get to St. Louis. Well, that did nothing. You spoke it into existence, right? Is that phrase? I'm going to speak it into existence. Okay, but you got to tell it to the world, right? Tell it on social media. Tell it in your emails. Let people know where you are, what you're looking to do. And then the same thing when it comes to dedicated freight, right? If you're over here in LinkedIn and you're adding the customers that you want, you can add brokers to your connections 100%, but also target those connections. If you were just at a General Mills facility in, I don't know, Chicago area, whatever, take that and start adding people from that location. And then maybe create a post with a picture that says, got unloaded within 45 minutes. Thanks for some great customer service. Love hauling for them. What do you think that's going to do, right? It draws attention to where you are. That in turn, you're also complimenting a facility, which, let's be real, drivers don't do that often. But if you're putting good vibes out into the world, what's going to happen in return? Do you think if you post that a couple times a month and you're in that General Mills facility a few times, that you might get some attention from General Mills? Maybe. I'm just throwing names out over there, right? I mean, it can be anybody. A lot of times it's purely letting people know where you are, what you're doing, and what your company name is. Explain to them who you are. Utilize the free assets that you can, and maybe you'll turn around and get on an RFP. RFP meaning a bidding system, right? It happens. I can tell you great stories about it where people literally were like, I love watching what you're doing on LinkedIn. I would love for you to be a part of RFP. Absolutely. Sign me up. What do I need to do? Because you're strategic about who you're adding into your network, but then you're also strategic about what you're telling them about it. What locations are you at? What are you trying to achieve? Where do you want to work at? Hey, I've got 5 trucks all in Chicago that are starting off there in Monday. If anybody has any outbound, let me know. If you're not telling people what you're doing and what you're looking for, then you're not going to get it. It's just that simple. So sales doesn't have to be this complex course of cold calling and constantly on the phone. It's if people are calling you, save the number. Save the number, put the contact information in. Hey, could you shoot me an email? I'm actually driving right now. I'm in a truck. Could you shoot me an email? I would love to get to that. I'll be to my destination in about a half hour. Then you've got the information. You've got their signature, and now they've got yours with your DOT number, your MC number, your contact information. Okay? It leads to direct sales. It's not always cold calling. It's not always knocking on a door, although those are great avenues. Some of your easiest and quickest ways to get dedicated work and business and connections and lanes is simply by telling people why you're in business, what you're looking to do, and then being trucking, where you are. Where are you? Where are you in the US? What do you service? Do you service Canada? Do you service Mexico? Do you cross border? What is it? Do you specialize in rail? Do you specialize in reefer? What are you trying to tell them? And it will allow you to win. Not necessarily overnight. I will tell you one story. I had a LinkedIn connection for a long time with a lady, and I knew she was at least involved in the process of, distributing the work to carriers. She wasn't quite the decision maker by any means, but I had reached out to them pretty early on. I had seen the lane a lot of times through various brokers. So I said, okay, somebody's not exactly dedicated to this. Let me try and see if I can get in with this customer directly, kind of see how they operate, what they do. Well, I never got anywhere, right? I had the contact name, but that was all I was getting. I wasn't getting a response, anything. But the lane disappeared. It just, we never saw it. We stopped seeing it on load boards. We stopped seeing it from the brokers that we had hauled various lanes into their facility for. So I turned around and I tried reaching out. And we're talking over the course of a total of 7 years. I know, a little crazy, but it was 7 years total. Then finally, I got a kickback. And I got I am retired. I'm no longer with the company. Kickback type email. And I went, crap, my one connection, my one sales connection to this location that I know does work that I like, that I know does work that we can handle, that I understand where they ship to. I understand what they're doing on the back end for all intents and purposes. And I was 100% correct when it came to that. And I wanted their freight. And so I turned around and went on LinkedIn and I said, here's the company information. Here's everything that is needed from our end. How do I find them? I found them on LinkedIn and I found several different managements. And then I emailed them. Yes, cold call, but on LinkedIn. And I said, I was in contact with this person. So I am name dropping. So at least that they understand that it's not a cold call per se, but I said, hey, I was in contact with this person. I got their out of office and they're no longer working for you. Wondering if there was somebody else I could talk to. Fast forward 3 months later, I'm on a dedicated account doing 30 loads a day. It's possible. It takes persistent, but don't be annoying. It takes remembering what lanes you're at and what lanes you want to continue doing. And then the other kind of piece of advice, especially when it comes to sales, if you land a good dedicated account, be prepared for that at some point to go away. Okay. And I know that that sounds scary and you finally got the account that you've always wanted and it's perfect and it's great and you're home at this time every day or every week or whatever the case is. It's perfect for you. You've been running it and now you want to grow and you say, okay, I'm going to grow with that company and I'm going to put another truck on with that company and I'm going to put another truck on. And now I've got 5 trucks and they're all running with the same customer. Put on truck number 6 and find a different customer. That's not shade to the one that you're doing well with. That's not shade to the great pay that you're getting on this lane or that lane. It is a level of protection for you to not put all eggs in your basket in one little spot because it will bite you eventually. There are very few cases out there in which the same shipper and the same receiver and the same freight pay and the same whatever continue with the same trucking company for decade after decade after decade. It doesn't happen. Usually somebody steps in, change who's paying the freight payables, the load stops shipping, the product decreases, lanes increase, and they want somebody else. A manager comes in, a new hire of the company, they decide, nope, I actually liked A, B, and C trucking better. They want this lane. I'm just going to slide them in and you're out the door with no notice whatsoever. It happens. It has happened to us more times than I can count, and I see it all the time. There are lots of reasons how you can lose freight that has absolutely nothing to do with your service at all. So just be prepared. Make sure that your sales is not locked into one location. If you've got 1, 2, 3 drivers, make sure you start to diversify, at least have that back end feel for things in terms of understanding what other customers, what other lanes there might be. Pinwheeling yourself into one customer, one lane, and growing an entire fleet off of it is a very dangerous approach. You can start there, but don't let it pinwheel you into that. You want to keep those connections going. Keep understanding that if this company changes what they're doing and how they're doing it, it's not going to put you out of business. Okay. I hope today's lessons on sales were absolutely fantastic and helpful for you. Just remember, create those signatures, get off the Gmail account, create a valid LinkedIn account, even more than a web page. We don't even necessarily care about web pages. Create that valid LinkedIn account, get in front of the customers and the freight you want, tell your story. invest in some pens, some leave behind items is what we call them, whether pens, business cards, doesn't matter, hats. You could go all on if you want to do that. You could get real fancy. It doesn't matter, but create that atmosphere in which you are constantly selling, whether it's on the phone, via email, social media, or the drivers at the front door. I hope this helps all of you succeed in what your long-term goals are for your business. Questions, comments below, as always. Feel free to reach out at pam@polyakconsulting.com. Powered by the wonderful and great Amos TMS. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great week.